Kia ora everyone, hope everyone's well, enjoying a little bit of spring. We're carrying on with our book, section 3, and we are doing this part 2. So Graham carries on with the belief that in Eeyore, the belief in Eeyore was not originated in New Zealand. It did not come from the missionaries or anything like that. It was brought from Hawaii. So the great thing is, this part is a deep dive in Hawaii. So this is, he refers a lot. This is such a good summary book because he always does shout outs and, you know, references to different books and different people that have really contributed to the whole, the wholeness of this knowledge, right? So in this part, you become familiar with this guy called Hema, H-E-M-A. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it okay. I don't know. Now, I think that's a Hawaiian name or either Māori name or both, right? He was a priest as well as an extremely good navigator. He had a brother, Puna, who he did not get along with at all. So Puna seemed to be the one that liked to have the gods of the sea, the gods of the air, the gods of the sun, the gods of the harvest, and he was idol worship. Now, it's very, very clear, Hema was not, he did not want to associate anything with those gods. So he makes a very clear, defining cut. There is only one God to worship, or you're worshipping all these other gods, and that's it, you know. So because of this row, that led Hema as the priest of Eeyore to settle in Aotearoa. So that's the Hawaiian historian saying this, that he went to settle in Hawaii and live with the Mahune people, which is in New Zealand, and they were already in, it doesn't actually say whether they were already here, but obviously he settled in where the Mahuan people are. Whether that Mahuan, the word, means a certain type of people that believe in Eeyore or not, I'm not too sure, but that's where he went. Now, he had sons, and they are known in Samoa, Tahiti, Hawaii, Rarotonga, so they have all this sort of link in, but the main name is Hema. And it would be really interesting to do a little bit more of that, looking into the tribes in New Zealand, the iwis, whether that name is coming up. So Graham does a shout out to this lady, Martha Beckwith. Her research on this guy, another good name to remember, is Abraham Forlander. And he arrived after the missionaries in Hawaii now. Okay, so we're now not New Zealand, Hawaii. He was a leading, she refers to him as the leading authority, foreign authority, on ancient practices. So when he came to Hawaii, the missionaries were there, or Protestant missionaries, no doubt, and the missionaries actually loathed him. They didn't like him at all. But he was so rich in the ancient ways of worship, in the ancient practices, and he was also a believer in Christian belief, in Eeyore and Jesus. He knew how to, this belief is right? However, the missionaries didn't like him because he had I suppose he had a different way of worship, right? Because he was used to this, he knew of the ancient way to worship. And of course, the missionaries at that stage were trying to westernize people. They thought that nice square box of westernized is Christianized, you know, and this is how it can get really damaging on a culture. However, he did say, this is Abraham, Abraham Forlander, he did criticize Hawaiian culture for their gross idolatry and their cruel practices. So there was, of course, the adultery side of every culture. And however, he did say that even with the cruel, these grossly bad cultural practices, there are heirlooms of the past which actually witness to a better creed, meaning it witnesses to, back to God. So so this part is all many thanks to many list of Hawaiian experts on this that Graham lists. Many elders that are, their first language was the Hawaiian language, right? So they have been passed down the ancient knowledge. It's just many are not written, so it really is the people that Graham has seen that is reflective of the knowledge that he's trying to portray to us in this section. He does talk about a guy, Daniel Kurkawa, and this is so interesting because he refers to a tape interview of a priest that Daniel obviously got hold of, and he prophesied, this priest of Eol prophesied that the name Eol will be revealed later in the late 1990s, which is exactly amazing because it's true. And this book was published in the 1990s. So that's very cool. So it's been a secret word, a secret, sacred, which is Eol, and the chants and the prayers and how to worship him properly has been a hidden mystery. And it's actually interesting because it seems to be the communication of ancient people all over the world, from Egypt to Middle East to the Polynesian. They preferred conversation, or the preferred communication of sacred or good things that they hold close to their heart, or the values or things. They pretty much love to speak indirectly, not directly. They will do this in the way of an incident they'll explain, which has a value that people are meant to pick up on, or historic events. There might be a moral thing, or proverbs, which this is a habit of many, many, many cultures. It's certainly not the Greeks or the Western way. We're very, very direct and sharp with get to the point type of thing. But when you're dealing with sacred things, I think we've lost a lot when we are keeping things too casual. And so the Polynesian communities, the Egyptians, the Israelis, the Middle East, the Arabs, everyone, there is a truth underneath a truth, underneath a truth, underneath a truth. So even Jesus used this, right? So Jesus would say parables. So some people would pick up the parable and go, oh, okay, but there is a deeper meaning. And you might miss it if you're not spiritual. And it was meant to be, that's okay. Not everyone is going to be at a level of truth, right? Something you'll get when you're 15, you think, yes, I know this truth. But then when you're 70, you really understand the truth, right? So it's parables and proverbs and talking about events are a way of communicating which is not direct but informal, is indirect way. So much so that this is why there has been so much confusion in one of the investigations that Graham talks about, he talks about a guy, Handy. You might guys know some of the books that he, I think Peter Buckwell talks about Handy as well. And he is one very good investigator, but of course he trips up on these types of cultures because he says that he warned greatly against establishing Eeyore as a supreme being, because there was a hawk that was called Eeyore, and they used the chants talking about Eeyore, and it was the same noise that the hawk would make, and yet but it was sort of symbolizing that he thought that there was talking about a god, and so therefore it must be a god of the bird life, of the of the hawks, so he said this, they're doing these chants to these birds, in bird language, but maybe that was the way that they disguised it, to the layman, because only the priests remember. And the great thing to note is that the priests and the ones that really did know the knowledge were not just men but women as well. So but just goes to show who's the bloodline, or who's it's most sacred to a certain, it wasn't to do with gender, it's to do with who your father is, right? So yeah, anyway, so that's it today. I just thought I'd just quickly do the last section, and then we are into section 4. I might do this actually quite quick, so in a couple of days we'll get that out. And yeah, anyway, any thoughts, let me know. That would be great. Okay, bye.